Britain has one of the highest number of COVID-19 related deaths in the world, and more than 100 frontline workers make up part of this huge figure. According to recent data, nearly 3/4 of all NHS and social care staff who have died from the coronavirus are from black and minority ethnic backgrounds. Leading public figures from the community have called for a government inquiry, with many suggesting that the figures highlight institutional racism within the country. Well, for more on this, I'm now being joined by social political campaigner, Councillor Susan Fajana-Thomas. Sister Susan, thank you so much for joining me on Channel's Business Global. Does this high number of coronavirus deaths within the black and minority ethnic community magnify Britain's institutional racism, as some quite prominent commentators are suggesting?
Thank you. Thanks for having me today. Can I just start by saying my heart goes out to many people from the BAME communities that have lost their life to COVID-19. Oh, it's not as simple as that. Of course, yeah, there are the factor of racism in what is happening, factor of inequalities that we are seeing in the wider society in the UK in terms of inequality around health, education, housing, that is playing out. But having said that, what you find is many BAME people are in front line of services. Many of the BAME people are in front line of working on counters at supermarkets, NHS on low-grade nursing, and as well as transport as bus drivers. So all those played out. And importantly, people that are being affected outside the workplace. Issue of housing is one of them. Of course, this is part of a wider issue of opportunity, of BAME people having the same opportunities as their white counterpart. But I'm hoping and I'm looking forward to the inquiry or report that I'm sure that will show that it's more complex than that. But of course, yes, racism is a huge factor.
Thank you, Sister Susan, for really wrapping that up and paying tribute to many of those who have died in the BAME community. I think it's quite important, especially for our viewers in Nigeria, who, of course, will have loved ones in the diaspora. And we're not trying to compare and contrast. We can't. We understand that Britain is a wealthy country, and there are many of us that do enjoy and are reaping the benefits from that. But I think some people will be shocked at just how some of their relatives are living in Britain. Can you just quantify that for us? You did that previously, where you explained that some of them are frontline workers, but what are some of the poverty and inequalities that some, not just blacks, but Asians and those from other ethnic minorities do face here in Britain in 2020?
I think some of the inequalities, some of the socio-economic equalities start from the fact that you see many black and ethnic people, like you rightly said, Asian people, having a larger family without having adequate accommodation or housing. You see people with 2-3 bedrooms and having 6 family members. That already, it tells that people don't have a room to themselves. So you find people sharing rooms. You find people in terms of the sort of poverty we're talking about, not necessarily poverty, but where many people from black and ethnic minority, in particular from Africa, from Nigeria, find themselves. Many of these people are overqualified. Even people that are in the nursing professions, many of them are overqualified. People that are working in supermarket counters, they're overqualified for what they are doing. Might be people who came from Nigeria as graduates, but because of the less opportunity they have, the job they can get is being a cashier at a supermarket. Those are the sort of things that happens here. Many people were meant to be lecturers in Africa. You find them, they are working in primary schools or secondary schools as teachers here, and they are struggling to make ends meet with the sort of wages they're earning. These are some of the issues, and these are some of the impact of not having equal opportunities here.
Thank you, Sister Susan, for that analysis. I think it's important because I know there are several people that don't live in Britain that may think the streets are paved with gold. And you and I know that for many of us, that absolutely isn't the case. I want to speak to you about some of the underlying health issues that people within our community have. There have been a lot of response because this is a growing discourse in Britain about the disproportionate numbers. And there have been some health professionals that say because of the underlying issues in hypertension, heart issues, there are several others. What is your take on that? And do you think those within our community can sometimes suffer from some unique health problems that you don't really see in English white people, for example?
Oh, of course, yes. I think we have the deaths both in this country, in China, and in Europe, in wider Europe, have actually shown that majority of people that are admitted to hospitals and end up dying are people with underlying health issues. And those health issues are things like cardiovascular health issues, their hypertension, high blood pressure, diabetes, and all of these are prevalent in the BAME communities. Many, even my friends, I said earlier that I've lost a friend. My friend suffered from asthma. So those are some of the issues, and 60 to 70% of people in this country that suffer from high blood pressure, hypertension, or diabetes, they are from the Black and ethnic minority. So this makes it very difficult when your loved one or somebody from BAME community are going to the hospital, not for you to think, oh, I hope they come back.
Gosh, it's stark and troubling.
It is. It's
fact.
troubling.
We're running out of time, Sister Susan, and I can't let you go without asking you quite a prominent, your opinion on quite a prominent issue, particularly this week. Trevor Phillips, the former chairman of the Equalities and Human Rights Commission, has been asked by the government to investigate why there is a high number of deaths within the Black and minority ethnic community. And this has caused some outcry. Why is that?
It is actually, I've tweeted this morning joining people to say Trevor Phillips, they need to remove him as a member of that panel. It is important for this report to have credibility. It is important for BAME people, when this recommendation comes out, for us to be able to say, yes, we have confidence in what NHS England is saying. Trevor Phillips, for many years, have been, regardless of his work around racial equality, he's been a very controversial figure because of his stance on the rejection of multiculturalism in England. He believes in Britishness. And many people, they want to be British, but at the same time have their own identity. So where the multiculturalism come from. And recently, Trevor was suspended from the Labour Party because of certain remarks he made around Muslims and Islam. I don't think we need such a controversial figure as part of this inquiry. We don't want a whitewash. We want an inquiry that after it, we are all happy, that is credible, and we trust the people that have sat through it.
Wow. Thank you so much, Sister Susan Fajana-Thomas, prominent social and political campaigner, as well as a senior figure in the community and within the Labour Party. Thank you so much for your time today. Well, sadly, that's all we have time for today, but do get in touch with your comments and suggestions. I'll see you at the same time next week for more in-depth business analysis on Channel's Business Global. Goodbye.